Okay, so this is the Microsoft Security and Compliance Center, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a tour of this and demonstrate some of the things and kind of show a compare and contrast. Now, the one thing I'm going to do first off is I'm actually going to go ahead and send my E5 account some malware. So this is a malicious attachment. I'm going to send it to that account, and it's off and away. I'm going to go back over here. Now, I've already sent myself a piece of malware that was quarantined earlier in the day. And you can see this is one that came in. Here's another. So I've gotten sent myself two malicious attachments in a day. And I'm going to come right back over here. So what I want to do is just do a refresh here. And I've configured this dashboard. I moved some of the things around to show me some of the things I think I'd want to see if I were a security administrator. Now, the one thing I want to point out, is the data that you see in this dashboard is not real time, and it's not near real time at all. You can see here the malware detected in email. It's only counting one right now, right? Why is that? Because there's a delay between the time when I got this and the time it actually shows up on the dashboard. So I think that's the first problem. Now, the second problem is I want to get details on that particular, those malware detections, right? So I want to understand. And by the way, you can see this stuff. It generally does take a little while to load. So I'm going to go ahead and click on there, and it's going to show me that one detection. Even though there's been two, it shows me one. So it's not interactive, right? I can't drill down and do it. I have to go into the View Details table, right? So I'm going to go over there. And now it shows me the emails that were sent that contain malware, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and click on there, and here are the details that are being provided about that. So if I wanted to look at the header information, if I wanted to look at more details about that, I've got to go pull up the message ID. I got to do research on what the heck this thing is. Let me show you the Avedon approach, right? So here's the Avedon dashboard, right? And here's what we provide you. And all this stuff comes populated automatically. There's nothing you can do. It's real time. I can flip from 30 days. If I want to look in the past 24 hours, no problem. It's going to populate. It's a demo environment, so I don't have much there. I go in the past 12 months, right? And it automatically populates, right? So pretty quick and easy, no problem to switch from one time frame to another. But the other thing is very interactive. So I'll go through, click there, show me those 34 malware detections. And you can see I can scroll through, I can look at that detail. I can even search if I want. So I want to look for a particular file. There we go. It was actually attached to a OneDrive file. I can actually go and click on that. I can get information on what that file was. And then I can actually look at the report. Right now, the malware report, the emulation report, actually shows excruciating detail about the attack itself. So, when you look at the Microsoft, what you're getting with them, and what you get with us, right? Pretty big difference. And what are we telling you here? Well, we're telling you everything this file would do if you were to open and emulate it, right? How many registry keys are updated, the number of processes launched, any macros that are embedded in there, all pretty good detail on what would happen if I opened this. If I wanted to see what happened on an XP machine, Office 2003, I can see there. I can flip back over here, 2013, Windows 7. It actually gets better. I can actually look at the emulation video. So if I were to open this file on one of those machines, this is what it would look like, right? So again, great detail there. And then, more details here on the different forensics. So all great information. I can get the hash list there. All good details, very helpful information when you're trying to look back and understand what were these different attacks. Okay, I'm back here at the O365 Security and Compliance Center home. And I want to show you something else here. So one of the things that Microsoft talks about is the extension of security with ATP to OneDrive and SharePoint. And I'm going to demonstrate how that's not necessarily exactly true. So what I've got here is a file that is got malware, another email that's got malware. It's a test file. And I put in the subject, same file to upload to OneDrive. So let's go ahead and send that. Let's go back to my O365 account. Give it a minute here to get through. Apparently it's taking a little bit long. There we go. Okay. So there you go. So Microsoft detected this file as malicious, right? So if I were to upload this file into OneDrive, theoretically, it should block it, correct? Well, let's just test that out. So here's my OneDrive account. And as you can see, there are files in here that are, in fact, detected as malware by OneDrive, by Microsoft. File is compromised by malware. Here's another one, compromised by malware, right? So clearly there's some working feature of this. That's to alert me. Now, what I'm going to do is take that file. Again, remember, this is the same file that I used. All right, let's go. Let's replace it. Uploading. There we go. Share it with a link. Anyone can edit. Perfect. Now I can send this out to anyone I absolutely want. Let's just verify. I'm going to get that name again, and I'm going to do a search. Let's see if it'll let me download it. Let me download it. Oh, boy. See, well, let me download it. Yep, sure enough. There it is. Right, so again, I think it's important to understand these are kind of some of the nuances. When security is not your primary function, some of these things kind of get glossed over, and I think that's an important point to look at. One thing that's really important to talk about when rolling out email security is the end user experience. What do they see when there's an email-based attack, whether it be malware or phishing? How is the end user notified about that attack? And I want to compare and contrast a little bit about how Microsoft does it and how we do it. So the first thing is, let's show you what the default looks like within Microsoft. So if you remember, I sent myself a piece of malware, and then I got a notification that, hey, there's malware in the attachment. They strip it out. They put a text file in there, nondescript, with a message right there, and all this other, to 99% of the people, gibberish. So where is that configured? I'll show you where. All right, so you go ahead in here, and there's a policy section right there, and you go ahead and click on the anti-malware policy, and then you can create different policies here, and we'll just go ahead and look at one of these guys right here. Go into settings, and this is where that message is configured. So you see that, again, going back here, there was malware in the attachment. That's where it's actually set up and configured. Now, the question becomes, what does the user do with that? So I guess you could say, call the help desk. Here is the number. And then you can give the users the ability to release that from quarantine. Now, or you can give them the email address of the help desk, and they could email, and just next thing you know, the help desk is getting inundated with, what's this? I think it was by mistake. It's from someone I know. Now it's creating all sorts of trouble tickets and things like that. You can choose not to do a notification. That's always an option too. Just, the more they know, or the less they know, I guess in this case, the better. So you can customize that message that way. And then there are different administrator notifications that you can send as well. Notify the administrator, blah, blah, blah. These are all administrator specific, right? So you could do it that way. But again, the problem is that there's kind of this closed loop pattern that develops where users either see that cryptic message or they see nothing. Now let me compare that with what Avedon provides. Right, so let's go into the main dashboard here. Again, starting back here, everything's point and click. Right, so I can set up different policies to tailor how we notify the end users if we want to notify them. Right, so I can go ahead and create a new, real easy. We'll create one right here. Let's apply it to O365 email, threat detection. Click on that. Threat detection is essentially, does the email contain malware or is it a phishing attack? And then I can choose, monitor only, or I can do what we call protect, which is a virtual inline case. And I can apply that to all the groups. If I want to just do specific groups, I can do that. I can just select specific users even, but in this case, you can do inline for some and monitor for others, whatever. You can set up different policies, but let's just do it for everyone. And now I want to tailor the end user notification. So we divide it up into malicious attachment, phishing, suspicious email, spam, right? So let's talk a little bit about the malicious attachment. Again, the email comes in, it contains a malicious attachment. What do you want to do? And you can quarantine it, and the user is alerted and allowed to restore the email on their own, right? So this is kind of like a self-release from quarantine. Some people obviously don't like that for certain reasons. There's a quarantine, but the user is alerted and allowed to restore from quarantine by way of an admin approval, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then quarantine where the user is not alerted and admin can restore, right? So you can choose any of these, and then you can actually configure what is in the alert. Look at all this. You can put all the tags in here, right? You can different bits of information, all right there. Here's what the message will send to the end user. They can, say, if you think this is legit, click here and we'll release from quarantine. And then if the admin looks at it and says, no, this is garbage, we're not restoring this, here's what the default email is going to look like back to the user, right? This is a phenomenal workflow. People love this workflow. In fact, people, say this is 10 times better than what they get with Microsoft. I can see why, but again, I let people use their own judgment on that. And let me show you what that actually looks like. So again, I got that email right there. Here is what that actual email would look like. To the end user, again, the template's all there. You can put tags in there. And then this is where you click the release from quarantine. Okay, one of the features we hear quite a bit about is the need to go back in time and look at emails sitting in people's inboxes that match certain criteria. So they want to find all emails sitting in an inbox that contain the subject urgent or FedEx or from a particular individual or to a particular individual, right? We have a term for this. We call it search and destroy. Others have different terms. I think Gartner refers to it as clawback. And this is one of the big drivers for a solution like ours. Security teams, forensics analysts trying to go back in time to find the needle in the haystack. So I want to show you a little bit about how the content search feature works within Microsoft and then show you our comparable feature within Avedon. So again, they refer to it as content search. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Click right there, take you to the content search. Now, they got two experiences. One is the old one. This is a newer one. Quite frankly, I am having a hard time getting the new one to work. I don't have the right permission, so I'm just going to go to the old version and create a content search. Now, you got to create a policy, so you got to start from the very beginning. So let's go ahead and create a query. The query is going to run. And then once the query is done running, then I can review the results. So let's go ahead, create a new, and I'm going to give it a name. So search for any emails with subject test. Okay. And I want to search in all mailboxes, all sites, and I guess all public folders as well. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and add a condition. So you can look for keywords here. I'm going to add a condition. Again, subject. So contains any test. Okay, search. Oh, okay. I can't have. I got to name it. So that's what I did in the last, and I can't. It can't contain any. So let me go back, change that, get those quotes out of there. Let's go back again. All right, there we go. Click on search. Okay, now I'm going to go and, as you can see, please wait while we get your results. Now let me show you, while that's running, let me show you the Avedon experience. So again, remember, we're collecting all this data in real time. Dashboard's getting populated, and we have the ability to do, what we call search and destroy through our query engine. So anything we can connect to, whether it's Box, Dropbox, OneDrive, email, we can build a what we call a custom query. So we got pre-canned ones here. I'm just going to create a brand new one. Show all recent emails that went to a particular account. So go ahead and do that. And this is just newer than 2 days, so I'm going to extend it, as far back as I want to go. Let's put the contains the word test. Boom. Now, I've got the results here, and I'll just show you real quick since I'm here. I can actually go into that email and get everything, all the information I want to know. This was flagged by a DLP policy, so we can see it had an attachment in there, violated the DLP policy, and we'll talk about that in the demo portion. But I can actually go in and look at the raw headers of that email. Again, I get everything I want to know about that email right there. So I can see who was from, who was to. So that's again, the drill down feature is important. So let's go back here. Again, remember, it's not just search, right? We don't call it just search. We call it search and destroy. Why do we call it that? Because we have the ability to take an action. Like if I want to get that out of the user's inbox, go ahead, click quarantine, click OK. That email is going to be removed from that user's inbox. I can also do it for all of them if I want. I'm not going to do it for all of them, but you kind of get the picture. So again, that's the search and destroy feature. Now let's go back to the content search here. Let's see. Preview results. So it finished running, and now I can look at the different results here. It took a little while to run, so I can't just run the query and then see the result. I gotta do one step and then the other, and we'll just kind of sit here and let this load. All right, let me pause this, and oh, there we go. Okay, so here it is right here. So now, if I want to, this query only exists for a certain amount of time. So the query will run, they'll fetch the results, and they'll come back, and then you can see, you can do the forensics that way. Now, let's just say I want to keep that query live and active. Let's say I want to just be able to reference this at any point. As emails come in with the word subject, I want to go back and look at them. So here's an email from, show me any email from Don. Let's preview the search results. Well, we can't do that. And the reason is because you have to update the search first. Right, again, so I got to go back and rerun this search. So I got to update the search results. And then when the search results are updated, I get to go back and then look at them. So again, getting back there, we'll let that run a little bit. Let's preview the results there. Again, where's the destroy piece on this? I want to be able to destroy this. Where can I do that? And that's part of the problem. We can't. So a lot of our customers also refer to the feature over here that I showed you here as called search and destroy. The ability to search on a particular, subject, email, header. We can even do SEL scores and then quarantine based on that. All right, let's talk about setup, right? How do you get this up and running? What do you need to do? How do you get, this feature, ATP, to work in your environment? And remember what I said earlier, the number one piece of feedback we get on why ATP catch rate isn't good enough is because, quote unquote, it hasn't been set up correctly. You hear this time and time again, right? So it's something that constantly comes up. Oh, we didn't set it right. We got to tweak it. We got to tune it. Got it. All right, let's look into all of that. What's involved with the setup? So again, we're going to go to the threat management here, the policy, and now each of these things has a configuration capability here. Needless to say, I'm not going to go, we don't have enough time to go through all this. You can set up different policies, but I'll just give you a glimpse. We've got a thing here to set up safe links policies, right? And you got to go through and read the prerequisites and do this and do that and do that. Okay, and then there's another one to set up safe attachments policy, and another one to set up the anti-spoofing, anti-phishing policies. One thing to note, ATP phishing policy options, they say add users to protect, so you can actually add what users you want to protect. You're limited to up to 60 users, right? So again, this is not my words. This is coming directly from the Microsoft website. Here's another one as well. Again, so on and so forth. You can continue to go on. So no wonder why the number one defense we hear of why Microsoft's not catching more because it's not set up correctly. Well, it's near impossible to set up. Let me show you how the Avedon feature works. Again, remember, back at the dashboard, here we are. We can go into the security stack or the configuration. We can go to the security app store. And from there, we have the ability to select different tools that we want to enable. So again, this kind of comes with the best of breed capability we offer. So if we want to turn on Sandblast, we can absolutely do that. We want to turn on FireEye or PAN. If you have a PAN wildfire license, you can turn that on, turn these different things on. Click of a button, right? Everything's cloudified. With the phishing policy, that's all there is to it. That's it, right? And once we do these things, these take 30 seconds to do it, you are up and running, and the results I described earlier in this presentation all come with the default configuration. Obviously, you can do blacklist and whitelist and things like that, and clear things out, or you got things that you don't want to be flagged. You can absolutely do that, but again, this is all that's required. So this idea that you got to set up and configure is in my mind a little bit ludicrous.